Hello there, in this video lesson I'm going to show you how you can create your own personalised earrings, and I'm going to assume your initials are AC, and your own personalised pendant. And we're going to do that in Blender 2.9. And if we go to the object library over here, and I'm going to look for brush script. So I'm looking for the folder patterns alphabet brush script. I don't want the one that says 2D, I want brush script. And if I then scroll down, and I'm looking for the capital letter A and the capital letter C. Now, to put this on the workspace, we hold down the left mouse button, drag the mouse towards the screen, but you must hit the P key on the keyboard. And then if you move the mouse to the center of the screen, and if you click with the left mouse button, that will position it. Now, I'm zoomed in a little bit too much at the moment, so if I just scroll the center mouse button towards me, I can zoom out. Now I want to put the letter C on the workspace, so hold down the left mouse button, drag it towards the workspace, hit the P key on the keyboard, let go of the left mouse button, and then you can position it so that it's overlapping. Now they must be overlapping, otherwise you won't have a one single 3D printable object. Once you're happy with the position there of that, what we need to make it into an earring is we need something called a finding. So if we go to jewelry findings, and normally for earrings we use this ring with a 1.5mm internal diameter hole. So hold down the left mouse button, drag it towards the workspace, hit the P key on the keyboard, and I want to position it there so that it's overlapping with this A. Now, make absolutely certain that the ring is selected, and it's selected when you've got this yellow outline. If you hold down the Shift key and click on the A and click on the C and go to Object and Join, all those three objects now will become one. So this is just one object now instead of three separate objects. But these objects are all curves. So if I go to Edit mode, you'll see these what are called control points appear. This tells me that this is a curve, and essentially this is a parametric smart object. Now at the moment, with the mouse in the center of the screen, if I press the N key on the keyboard and click on item, at the moment the depth into the screen is 2mm. That's the default thickness of this A and C. The X dimension is the width of it, and the Y dimension is the height. So I can see the width and the height here, which I'm happy with. The Z, 2mm, is going to be too heavy if we create this in silver. So I need to change the Z. And the way we do that is we go to the object library, and we're looking for 3D templates, cross-section bevel objects. And if I scroll down to the bottom, I want this one second from the bottom, which is this square or rectangular one. And if I drag that towards the workspace and hit the P key on the keyboard, and I'm just going to put it there. I don't normally put it there. I normally put it in the middle of the screen, but I want you to be able to see it. Now this object is 1mm wide and 1mm deep. Sorry, it's 1mm in the X and 1mm in the Y. But when we attach it to this object, the depth into the screen of the earring will change. At the moment, the width of this is 1mm, but it's 2mm into the screen, and we can see that from the Z value here. We're going to apply this bevel object to the earring, and so it will still be 1mm wide, but it'll be 1mm into the screen. So with the earring selected, if you click on the object data properties, scroll down, and we need to open up geometry, and we want to change the bevel object. So if we click in here, at the moment our bevel object is 1mm by 2mm. The 2mm is into the screen. When we select this one, watch the Z value here change to 1mm. That's just changed from 2 to 1. We've halved the weight of this earring. Now, to make it into an earring, what we need to do is to convert it to a mesh, and we can do that by going to File and Export, and I like to use the Wavefront OBJ file format, and if I export it to the desktop, I'm just going to write on top of the earring there, but if you just type earring at the bottom and then Export OBJ, When it exports it, it will convert this from a parametric smart object, a curve, into a mesh. Okay, so edit mode there, these are control points which tell me that this object is a curve. Now that we've exported it as an OBJ file, it will be a mesh. Well, what I need to do also, and you must always do this with working with Blender, you must always go to Netfab Basic and go to Project and Open. And if I open up that earring, Netfab will tell me there are some problems with it, but Netfab will fix it. And the warning red triangle tells me there's some problems. If I click on Repair and click on Update, there are some holes and some border edge problems. Not to worry, I just click Automatic Repair and Execute. And then if I click Update now, what we're looking for is zeros. These must all be zero. If they're all zeros, we can apply the repair and remove the old part. And if we go to Part and export the part as a wavefront object, and right on top of earring, and then just say yes. And if another window pops up, don't worry, just click Optimize and you'll get a green tick and then export it. Now that file can then be uploaded to Shapeways and you will get an earring. So that's how easy it is, and I'll just do Project and New and discard it. And if you register at Shapeways, you can upload that object and then you can get it made in silver or a range of other metals. Okay, now if we go back to Blender itself, with the earring in Blender, and remember this is the curve one, if I just, with that highlighted, if I press X on the keyboard and delete it, if I go to File and import the OBJ file and go to the desktop, I'm going to import the one that we've repaired. So this is the OBJ file now. And just take a little bit of time to import it. So if I click on that object to select it and the yellow outline tells me it's selected, if I go to edit mode, I don't see any control points now. These are what are called faces, and if I just zoom in, you'll see that there are thousands and thousands of faces that make up this object. I'm just scrolling the center mouse button away from me and back towards me to zoom in and out. Now, you must have an object as a mesh if you want to check the weight, and we can check the weight using the Dual Craft add-on. And if I just close down assets, if I just go to weighting, and if I just click load and then calculate, it tells me that this in silver is 1.54 grams. So it's very important that you know what the weight is, that it's not too heavy for your ear. But you need to do that with a mesh. So you need to import it from the OBJ file after you've repaired it in Netfab. Okay, so I'll just press N on the keyboard to close that panel down, and the cursor must be in the center of the screen when I do that. And then if I point over here into the outliner panel, these are the objects that I've been working with. If I just press A on the keyboard to highlight all the objects and X, I'll delete it. So I've just got a new screen now. Now what I'm going to do is to create a pendant. And we can do that by going to the object library. And if I go to jewelry pendants, and I'm just going to scroll down slightly. I'm just scrolling the center mouse button, and I'm going to use this triangular object here to put it onto the workspace. Hold down the left mouse button, drag it towards the workspace, hit the P key on the keyboard, and I'm just going to click in the middle of the screen there, and I'm just going to zoom back. Now there are lots of other objects around here. These are all parametric smart objects. And if you click and drag any of them into the middle of the screen and join it with this object, you'll be able to create pendants really quickly. I'm not going to do that in this case. I'm going to make a personalized one. So I'm going to go over here to the object library and I'm going to scroll down. Now there are lots and lots of different parametric smart objects. Don't use the 2D ones, use the one without the bracket. I'm going to use this Art Deco Broadway. And so I'm going to use the A and the B here. So if I click on A, drag that onto the workspace, hit the P key on the keyboard, and I'm going to position it, and I need to position it so that it's just overlapping. Now if you zoom in, scroll the center mouse button away from you, you can zoom in on that. Might make it easier. And if I do the same thing with the B, click on the B, drag it towards the workspace, hit the P key on the keyboard, and I want it to overlap. And I'm trying to get it so that it overlaps the bottom of the triangle and the right hand side of the triangle. And once you're happy, click. Now, it's very important that all the objects, there are no objects that are not going to be touching something else. Now I can see that this triangle here, if I zoom in, is probably not clearly touching somewhere else. Well, I can fix that quite easily. If I go to edit mode, if I just click on that point there and I click on move and then drag the red to the right, I can just overlap, and I'll also click on that point there just to make my triangle more of a triangle again. I can overlap it, and I could do the same on this side. Now if I click on that control point at the top, hold down the shift key, click on that point and that point, so I've got 3 points selected. If I just move them out a little bit until they're overlapping, the gap disappears. What I can then do, go back to object mode. That will not fall out now, it will be part of the final object, and I just need to look everywhere else. Everywhere else looks okay. What I need is a ring at the top now if this is going to be a pendant. So again, I can go to jewellery findings, and this time, because it's a pendant, I'm going to use the one with the 2.5mm diameter hole. So drag that onto the workspace, hit the P key on the keyboard, and you could always zoom in if you want to be more accurate here. I think I'm okay there. Now we can join all these objects together now, so make sure the ring is selected, so you've got the outline there which is yellow. Hold down the shift key, click on the A, click on the B, and then click on the triangle, and then just go to object and join them together. Now when we've joined them all together, if I press the N key on the keyboard to open up the panel on the right and go to item, we can see that the depth here is 2mm. I'm going to leave it as 2mm deep for a pendant, but the X and the Y give me the overall dimensions vertically and horizontally. I'm going to say that I'm happy with that. So to make it into a 3D printable object, which we can upload to Shapeways, we need to export it as an OBJ file. So with it selected, with the pendant selected, if I go to File, Export, OBJ file, go to my desktop. I don't want to call it earring, I need to delete that, and I'm going to call it pendant. And export the OBJ file. Now, when we do that, it will change it into a mesh. It will be no longer a parametric smart object, it'll be a mesh object, but that's what we need when we upload them to Shapeways. Now, take a little bit of time on my system. It's a fairly old computer, but it will work. Okay, so that's saved it. So must always go to Netfab Basics, so go to Project and Open, and I'm going to open this pendant, and it's just 1 minute's work really in Netfab Basic. It's just about repairing it. And so if I click on Repair, click on Update, so there are some holes and border edges, click Automatic Repair and Execute. Just allow it to do that, and then click Update, check these are all zeros, apply the repair and remove the old part. And then you can go to Part and export it as a wavefront object again, right on top of that one. We may get another error message, yeah, there's just one other extra problem, but optimize, that'll do it, and export. So that will export it to the desktop in my instance, and I can just close that down now. Now I could import that OBJ file and check the weight of it. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to show you that on Shapeways, oops, here is the pendant on Shapeways, and this gives you some idea of the price. Okay, so personalised earring, AC, personalised pendant, AC. I've used a different font inside this, and that's how easy it is using Blender and our parametric smart objects. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you found it useful.